this is your record, your solo record,
Yes.
but there's one song that you don't sing on. Well, I guess there's a few that you don't sing on because there's some instrumentals, but
Yeah.
but you give the lead away to someone else. How come? Did it just not feel right to sing?
I think she just does a better job. I like writing in that range, you know, for female
So you
vocalists.
wrote for a female vocal.
Yeah.
That was, okay, so you always
I
had
mean,
that plan.
not intention. You know, you're just like strumming around, and I generally like to find my melodies. I generally sing high, and then you know, I had another girl sing it, who's on the record. But when we were trying to track that one, just her, I was like, oh, it wasn't quite sounding right. Needed someone a little bit of a different take on it. So yeah, I asked Daniela.
Gesundheit
Yeah.
from Snowblink.
Yeah,
Love it.
She's a killer singer.
Awesome. So we just started with the video featuring Kenny Hotz. You want to talk about either shooting that video or talk about writing the song? Give a little intro for that.
Shooting the video, I mean, it was sort of done with.
Were you there?
I was there. Yeah, I was.
Kind of,
Yeah,
okay.
I was. You know, I wasn't so like I can't take any credit other than you know asking Kenny to be in it. But my partner at the Draper Street Records label, she hired the directors, and you know she kind of orchestrated it, and then this team of Joel and Fawcett was the other guy's name. Good team, you know, very simple idea, and just walked around the city. Kenny handing out def cards, but yeah, he was a champ. Of course, Dan Burke from Silver Dollar makes an appearance in there. Toronto legend that he is. But yeah, and the song, you know, it was one of the songs on the record that everyone, you know, whether it was at the label or my buddy Steve, who did the majority of the record with me, it was just one of the tunes that sort of popped out for everyone immediately.
Oh. You mentioned a few things that I want to touch on. Maybe we'll start with Draper Street Records, because that's new.
Yeah.
So did this record, I mean, you drew the artwork, you did everything for this record. Is that because you wanted this to just be you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't record and engineer it.
Right.
And, you know, I definitely had some help in the production side of things. Yeah, it just seemed like the most natural thing. I wasn't like into like shopping it around so much. You know, the ANC, I mean, with my relationship with ANC, it's like they deal with so much of like my life for the past 10 or 12 years. It's just like,
You wanted to give them a break.
give us all a break, I think, you know? I mean, not that, you know, I have some very close contacts there, obviously, as you would.
Yeah.
But yeah, this seemed like a way to just keep operations very close to home. And I'm working with lots of the same people.
Sure.
You know, like press people,
Well, David's sitting right there.
David Sadowski's sitting right over there. Like, you know, we've worked together for years.
So what's been the most daunting thing about creating your own record label?
It's not so much, it's just like, you know, more emails to answer, I guess, or
Right.
more like, and even still I'm falling behind on a few things. And just, you know, since I've put a band together for this album, so it's just like, okay, well, if I don't take charge and make sure we got like a good repertoire, whereas, you know, when you're in a band, you know, you can kind of rely on everyone to get the repertoire of the set together. But in this instance, it's like, well, I really, you know, it's Brendan Canning, so it's got to be like my directive.
Brendan J. Canning.
Brendan J. Canning, that's right.
So that must have been intentional, obviously.
Yeah, that wasn't, the J just looks nice, you know?
That's the reason, okay.
Yeah, you know, when I'm writing out the name, it's just like, maybe it should be something different. And most people don't even take notice of it. But it's just there. Aesthetically, it looks, you know, the J kind of parting the two, the Brendan and the Canning, just works.
Cool.
Works.
Well, you talked about the band. You were talking before, too, about playing the first show on this, I guess, run, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
for this record in Montreal this weekend. So what was it like playing the new songs? Who's playing in the band? Is it the same people from the record?
No, well, Steve Singh, who I did the record with, the majority of the record with, he is in the band. Natasha Pasternak is on the female vocal duties and some keyboards. Greg Calderon is doing keys, guitar, bit of bass. He was also in the movie This Movie Is Broken.
Oh, yes. It's
Yeah,
an interesting movie,
that's
right?
how we ended up meeting. But, you know, he's a great vibe. And on drums, Jay Anderson, I've known him for years. He's played around town in so many different bands, and he gets where this music needs to go. And I think if I'm going to go out and tour and people are going to pay money to come see a show, you know, I'm not so into just like me and acoustic guitar. I mean,
it could be done that way though.
It could be
given
done.
the production of this record.
Yeah, I think I'd need to write about 25 more songs, and I think I'd need to, you know, I think I'd need to do my homework at the local haunts around here, and really like before I go out on a tour, like I've never spent much time like working a solo thing, because that's never really been a primary interest. I mean, the record, when you listen to it, it may be, you know, more intimate, but it's still like lots of instruments going around.
Yeah.
There's lots of sounds. They may not be like drums and full orchestration with horns, but there's lots of, you know, like, yeah, this track has got like 4 guitar parts, and I think all 4 guitar parts for this track are key, or I wouldn't have added them in there.
This is an interesting marriage at times of acoustic guitars and, I don't really know what the word is. I was trying to think of a word this morning, and indie production. Like the social scene stuff that I would expect the interesting noises in the background. It's an interesting marriage of acoustic, which is such a natural, organic instrument, and production that you probably dig a lot.
Yeah, dude, that was just, you know, between Steve and myself, and we just kind of hammered away, and it's like, I like that, I don't like that, I don't like that. That sounds good.
Right.
So, you know, just a lot of that stuff. And
did you dig the sound? Because you can hear your fingers sliding all over the acoustic on the record. Like there was one tune, I can't remember what it was called, but you can. It's noticeable, right?
Probably a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm a sloppy old guitar player.
No, it's not sloppy, but it's nice to hear. Like it sounds like the guitar was almost mic'd on the neck as well.
Yeah. There's, you know, it's very like kind of present as far as like finger movements and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
Did it all? Every song must have started on acoustic for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that different for you, or is that?
Yeah. No, that's different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've never taken any. I think maybe one song on the previous record, Antique Bull, that started with an acoustic guitar. But other than that, I guess Snowballs and Icicles on that record too. The Something for All of Us record. That was an acoustic guitar song.
Are you going to be playing those songs live too? Is it because I mean they're vastly different records. I'm sure they sit together fine in a set, but.
Yeah, we played Antique Bull. It's and it still needs a little work, but we played it on Saturday. Snowballs and Icicles, I'd have to learn that one. There's a couple that I just, you know, to be quite honest, I don't know how to play. I do a lot of alternate tunings, and then it's sort of like, what is the? Yeah, it takes me a while to figure them out because you know you record them and then I don't like come home and play them all over again or play them the next day. I change the guitar into a different tuning, and I'm not really thinking that far ahead. So
that's it. I've talked to John Resnick, Goo Goo Dolls guy.
Yeah.
Every song is in a different tuning for him. Like he's got like 45 guitars that come on tour because he needs tuning for a different song. And he was telling me he has no idea what any of these songs tunings are. Do you know your tunings?
I do. I've written them down now.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I could do it quick enough now. I don't have that many. I mean, I'd love to have some different guitars on tour, but you know, I don't quite have the Goo Goo Dolls budget.
No, fair. I was more about the tuning thing than how many guitars you have on stage.
But yeah, I've toured with those guys too. In
they're good people.
Yeah, in the 90s. Yeah, they were good.
With who? With Divine Right?
No, with Head.
Head. Oh wow, going even farther back. So the solo show, do those old songs come into play too? Do you take? I guess this is probably a common question. Social scene tunes.
I'm gonna try. You know, speaking of alternate tunings, I'm just, you know, if I play Antique Bull, I came home after the weekend and I have one of my guitars tuned in that tuning, so I'm just like, fuck this. I'm gonna write another song in this tuning. So I just, you know, wrote, you know, just whatever.
Are you constantly writing? I feel like you would be.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of that's sort of the tougher part about learning all the other songs, because I'm just sort of like, oh, it'd be just easier to write some new songs, I guess. But, you know, it's also good to go out and play some songs that people are familiar with.
Right.
I mean, I certainly like going to gigs and hearing songs I'm familiar with.
You can sing along too, sure.
Yeah, I think everyone can agree on that for the most part. So, yeah, I think it'll be kind of like, it'll be a band, you know, like sort of filling out the ideas that are kind of on there on the record, and then the rest will sort of, you know, maybe I'll take a little acoustic pass on for a few minutes just to
cool.
do my thing. Yeah.
Talking about live shows, we're in the Rivoli here. I'm sure you have some Rivoli memories.
Oh, I certainly have many.
You want to share something?
You want the classic?
I'd love a classic one, sure.
Stone Temple Pilots opened for Head here, November 7th, 92.
Stone Temple Pilots opened for you.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a classic one. I like that.
Yeah,
That's good.
I booked that one while I was working at the Bank of Nova Scotia down the road. And both promoters, both rival promoters were trying to get the show, except the one promoter wanted to put the show at the Opera House and have us open. But the other promoter said, "Oh, if you got to Stone Pilots are coming through," and I think we just got the cassette, and we were kind of into it. It's like, yeah, it sounds like Pearl Jam, but we're really into it, So yeah, that was that was a crazy show. They blew the PA,
Really?
and then we followed them, and it was probably didn't live up to Stone Temple Pilots. I mean, they were cruising. But yeah, then we became buddies with them. We opened up for them in Montreal a year later after they had officially blown up. So yeah.
That's cool.
But played the Rivoli many times. Yeah, countless.
I want to change just to the film scoring thing because what's this Cronenberg thing? I've read it's a movie. I've read it's a video game. What are you doing with Cronenberg?
I'm just making the music.
Okay. For what?
For Body Mind Change, and that's the title of it. And I think the gist is, if you're watching it, if you have it, on your computer, you can kind of click on the different character, because there's a woman character, but there's 3 or 4 different people playing the character. It's as told to me by who's doing the editing and a portion of the direction. He just says, it's like a choose your own adventure kind of thing.
Okay.
So as far as my involvement, they just give me scenes or tell me what the holes are, what the gaps are. I'm like, yeah, sure, I can make this.
Do they give you visuals to work with, or do they just give you notes being we kind of want a darker kind of ethereal sound?
They gave visuals. I haven't been doing so much scoring straight to picture. I've just kind of been giving them some music and then letting them deal with it. Versus, the last film I did, The Canyons, which was at Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, I've seen parts of it.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a more debacle, where I spent way too much time. Whereas this Cronenberg thing is just hey, it's very efficient.
Okay.
Very efficient. The way it's running is very efficient versus The Canyons, which was not so efficient.
Well, I've heard you say for The Canyons you wanted this cowboy western Depeche Mode feel.
Yeah.
Was that something they gave you that direction, or was that when you saw or read?
No,
or
I
whatever,
just read the script.
And you felt cowboy.
And it felt it's
Depeche
like,
Mode
it's kind of like a Wild West tale, and
that's interesting.
Felt like Depeche Mode in there. So I think we kind of stuck to that. There was one, they had Iggy Pop's The Passenger attempt in there.
Oh.
So I kind of wrote a tune loosely based on The Passenger.
Is that fun? It branching out into this new world?
Yeah, that was fun, especially because I get to do lots of lead guitar stuff. And that's always fun, especially when you're watching it on the screen and it's cool guitars. Who's that? It's oh, it's me. That's right. So yeah, that stuff is fun. I'm happy for the way the music turned out as far as the amount of time versus that sort of stuff. I get a little bit finicky about. I don't like to waste too much time.
Right.
Sitting in an editing suite, because so much about film scoring these days is editing. It's you've written this piece of music, but then the director's there. It's oh, it's too busy there. Let's take that out, or where I think in the future I would just say, here you go. Let my editor take care of it. I'm not interested in, I don't care how much you want to finesse the music to this picture.
You just hand them a whole thing and say, go nuts kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is kind of what I've been doing with Body Mind Change, which has been ideal, especially when you have someone who's really into getting into the sounds and kind of tweaking that too. And there are other guys working. Yeah, there's a bunch of people working on it. It's sort of. Yeah.
I'm still confused. So it's a computer, but it's kind of a computer game, but it's more of a movie with you make the way the character goes.
Yeah. Yeah, not so much a computer game. I definitely would not say a computer game. It's hard. A choose your own adventure movie.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
So we do something called 5 questions. We did this a few years ago in Calgary. We'll see if you remember. 5 quick questions, 1 word answers.
Go ahead.
Road or studio?
Studio.
Lennon or McCartney?
Oh, you can't pick one. They're both good.
When you hear a song, it usually hits you first. Lyrics, melody, or rhythm?
Lyrics, melody, or rhythm. Probably lyrics last, but melody and rhythm. Probably melody.
Okay.
But then there's lots of track, that's tough to say too, because you can't just say it's like, oh, I love the rhythm, because what if it was like a crappy melody? And then lyrics, well, if the lyrics are bad, then you say this sucks. But if the lyrics are sort of, I can think of that. What's the Major Lazer tune with the girl from Dirty Projectors? Like, I can't think about what her lyrics are in that song, but it's a cool track.
Right.
It's like got nice melody, and her lyrics aren't out of place or bad. So, yeah.
Interesting. That was a good answer.
Yeah.
If someone's never heard Brendan Canning before, what song do they start with?
I don't know. Start with Plugged In. It's the latest one.
The latest single?
Yeah, it's the latest single.
In one word, Brendan Canning.
Just a guy trying to get by, trying to do right by himself and the world and the people around him.
Nice.
Was that one word?
Yeah, we'll hyphenate the whole thing. That works.
Yeah.
I take that. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Matt. Yeah, of course, Matt. Yeah.
Awesome.